Kirsha, nice to see you again. So glad to actually, I would have loved to have seen you in person. I like connecting better, in person, but this is okay. I know our
Yeah,
schedules are pretty crazy.
yes, yes.
So
Thank you so much for having me. And it's awesome to be on your platform and just be a part of this awesome work that you're doing for sure.
thank you so much. So what I want to do is I want you to tell me your story, a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into, what Kirsha is all about. So yes, go ahead.
Okay, where do I start? So I am originally from the Caribbean, Jamaica, and
Woo!
I am, yes, an island girl.
I
Lots of
love it.
sunshine.
Love it.
I am a twin mom. Am also I volunteer a lot in the community. Wherever I am, it's always important that I get assimilated in the community and just find ways to connect with those around me and to really help in whatever I can. So I do sit on a couple of boards. I do other community work. I am also an author, speaker, trainer, and I do help CEOs, business owners to really increase their cash flow and their profits through setting up strategic financial systems. So diving into their business. So that's a little bit about me outside of work. I'm usually hanging with my twin boys outdoors. We enjoy being outside, hiking,
How old are
traveling.
they?
They're eight,
How old are?
8
Oh,
years
that's so
old. Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah,
They're
they
still
keep
at the
me
sweet
learning,
age. Oh,
learning
yeah.
and relearning and learning.
Oh, especially two of them, right?
Oh, yes,
Wow.
quite a challenge.
Wow. Holy. So, how long? So you came from Jamaica. When did you come to Canada?
I've been in Canada over 10 years now. So that takes us back to about 2011, 12, thereabouts. So that was when I came to Canada from Jamaica.
Wow, that's a different in climate, right?
It is, it's a difference in climate, culture, where, I mean,
Wow.
so many areas it's different.
Yeah.
It's
You
been
know,
quite
it's
a learning experience.
I can imagine. So this is a Black History Month. Like, have you experienced any, with the culture, any differences that were major events or challenges in your life?
Yes, so there were definitely major challenges. There were
Mm.
challenges, and to be honest, starting over can be hard. Starting over
Yeah.
can be easy. So within the hard, I find you have to just move beyond the hard to see how can I turn this around? How can I have joy in the hard moments when you're starting over? And I'm Black, I'm a woman too, so I'm female. So those are some things that I see impacted my journey as I was starting over. There were issues, I've experienced issues with my what's it called? My tone of voice, my language tone. I've had
Oh.
issues with that. I've also, yeah, my accent. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to remember the word.
Oh, and I love it. I love when I
Thank
hear
you.
you talk, it's like I feel like I'm in the Caribbean. So I'm relaxed when you talk.
Yeah, thank you. So I did have issues with my accent and issues with how credible I was. What did I bring to the table? So I've had instances of those. However, overall, I must say having a strong support system in various ways will
Mm,
impact your journey with starting over.
yeah.
So I found that I had, my family, I got into the community, I made connections, a community at the gym, I was
Good.
in CrossFit then. So those connections, community did help to, maneuver through those rough moments. And I'll also add that a lot of times persons move to a new country and persons you might say, okay, they're getting used to the culture, they talk different, might be different food. However, culture shock is real. Culture shock can hit you for even more than 6 months. So it is important that you as a person who you're experiencing culture shock, identify that you're having it, find ways to maneuver through that. And if you are aware of someone who is new to your country, your area, that you support them in the best way you can. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's important. And you and I, we met through networking. And
Yes,
you and I both know it's so important to have that community of supporters,
it is.
to go through that journey, because you can't, I mean, really, you can't do it alone. Either
No.
raising a child, starting a business, et cetera, you need to have a village, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's yeah. Okay. You hit it right there on the head, nail on the head,
Yeah.
as the saying goes. Yeah.
So tell me about how you got your journey as an entrepreneur, how you got your journey into this business that you've now created for yourself. I'd like to hear about how that started.
Okay. So to be honest, it was always on my list of things to do to have my own business one day growing up. It's an idea I toyed with. You toy with the idea, you put it down, take it back up.
Mm.
However, after I had my twin boys, I realized that it was getting increasingly harder, challenging to really handle work, to handle home growing. In those early years, it was pretty tough. So I relocated about after 2 years till they were born, and from BC to Alberta. And that's when I realized at that point it was getting pretty intense. I realized it's time to pause and explore head doing my own business. So that was one area that led me to really take that plunge. And increasingly, I was seeing where business owners, CEOs, they needed that support in their business. They were great in their skills. However, corporate strategies that you look at and you see huge corporations, Google, Rogers, TELUS, a lot of these corporations, they have strategies that are proven, strategies that will help them to withstand recessions. So I realized there was a gap in the smaller businesses where they did not understand a lot of things with their numbers, having a successful business. So that encouraged me even more to take that plunge to say, this is something that is needed. So those were, those thoughts leading up to starting my own business.
And that makes sense. Like for me, I'm not a numbers person at all. So
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of people who are the same way. So that's good that you found a niche that where there's a problem and you found a solution to it. That's great. Wow. Can you talk me through, for example, like what your ideal client would be and how you would help them?
My ideal client is anyone who is having a challenge with their business where you're not understanding your numbers. You
Me.
know, y- you're not understanding
Yeah.
why I was told I made a profit. However,
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that in my bank account. Where's that disconnect happening? I don't
Yeah.
understand where I made all these thousands in sales and
Mhm.
I don't see it in my bank account. So it's diving into your numbers. I call it looking beyond the numbers. So it's going to be that person who you don't have a system, you don't even know when you're paid sometimes. Or it could be that there's so much chaos and confusion in your business. You don't know if you're being paid. You don't know what your profit was last month. You don't
Yeah.
know what's happening. You're overwhelmed. You're probably like, just thinking about my numbers, I get so
Yeah.
overwhelmed, so frustrated, so anxious. Sometimes I just don't even know where to start. It's that person who is struggling, and you can be at different levels. I connect
Yeah.
with persons at different levels, those who are just starting out, those who have been in business for years, just different levels of persons, because I offer a customized solution. So what someone who is just starting out needs is not going to be the same thing as someone who is seasoned already in business. It's different. And that's something that as a CEO, you need to understand that your business is unique to you. You might be two plumbers. However, you bring to the table, you bring to your business your goals, your values, and that is what will make your business unique. So I connect with businesses at different levels. So that's my ideal client.
And what I'm finding with you is, even though you work with numbers, is usually a persona of a person, like of an accountant or a financial planner, et cetera, et cetera. With you, I find you have that human factor in your business. which I love to connect with. I love people who okay, you got all these numbers, but you're connecting with me. You're having that relationship as a friend while you're helping
Yes.
me solve that problem, which I appreciate. It's a fantastic thing to have, especially with me now. That's the only way I like to connect.
Thanks. It's like, oh no,
Oh,
it's you, it's
yeah. Like if
yeah.
you were, I mean, and I've dealt with so many financial planners, financial coaches who've tried to approach me, but they do that sales call, like
Mhm.
I hate to say it, like the slimy salesperson kind of
Yeah.
introduction, and that's a big turn off for me. But you connect on the human level, right? I Let me get to know who you are, because I find if you start to connect with people on the human level and get to know them as a person, I think, if you're going to be doing business with anybody or collaborating with anybody in business, I find that especially if you want that relationship long term, you need to develop that relationship on a human level. Don't you agree?
I agree. And it's the reality, is that behind every business is a human, is a person. So it's important to understand what do they like, what
Mm.
frustrates you. Be comfortable enough. There sometimes, I connect with my clients and one will be like, I'm just having a terrible day and it's okay. That's what I want to hear. I want to be able to you're having a bad day. How can I help? Or is it a moment where we just need silence or we talk to? That's okay. So getting in that human side and realizing that it's okay. We don't have to have this huge pretense or facade about who we should be. Let's focus
Yeah.
on who we are. I know there's some persons who they might say, I had one person and they were like, just looking at a sheet overwhelms me.
Yeah.
So we're diving into pictures, diagrams, charts.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's being able to connect with your client exactly where they are. If it's a rough time, my dog had one, their dog wasn't well, and we're able to realize that okay, it's a low time. We can talk again, and it's like you said, it's just building relationships.
Yeah. And like we had our session there, a discussion and a conversation on vulnerability in business. So
Yes,
if you, for example, had a client who was, just having a bad day, but you still want to connect with them, okay, maybe let's put off the numbers for today and you tell me what's going on, right? I think that's
yeah.
so important. And I know that you do that. That's exactly the human factor. I
Yeah.
wish everybody was like that.
And to be honest, it's not something that happens overnight. It's something
Yeah.
that you have to really be confident in who you are. And that's another thing that
Point.
along my immigration journey, I realized that I had to be confident in who I was, as a Black person. And I'm not speaking from a point of seeking privileges or seeking preferential treatment. The reality is that the world, society is going to treat you different. Not everyone, but it will happen. And you have to be confident about what you bring to the table. I remember just, within a few months when I arrived in Canada and I was approached to do a project at the Chamber of Commerce and subsequently to be on their board. And I hesitated. I was like, can I do this? And then I had to catch myself to say, why not? It's not about being perfect. You're not going to know everything, but it's having that confidence in yourself and what you can do, the value you can add. And again, it's not about being perfect. It's just knowing that I do have some value. I can keep learning. I'm an avid continuous learner as well. So that is it. It's so important to really be convinced and convicted about who you are, your values. And that's something else that I had to find joy in. That in there are times when someone might doubt you or say, why do you talk like this? Or
Yeah.
second guess you, or are you really, can you add any value? You have to
Yeah.
really look beyond that and look beyond those moments and find joy. Joy is where even if things aren't going well, you can still find something to be thankful for. That's having that joy. So even when you have those low moments around starting over, it could be your business. I've had failures. Oh, I thought this client was going to work out, or I thought
Yeah.
I would have been further along, right? Those are
Mhm.
real moments where you might have to restart your strategy, just start over in whatever way. You have to, be cognizant of what can you be thankful for along that way? How can you find joy in that journey? So definitely that is something that I had to really, embrace for myself and so forth. Yeah.
I love that you brought that point up because as an entrepreneur, I think everyone goes through that struggle of do I feel worthy? And even with my experience, I just had a conversation with another lady about, people have been approaching me. This is a listening service. Do you have, what are your credentials? What, what's your certification? What education and training have you gotten?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like, and these are, some of them been professors in academics, and I'm not an academic per se. I don't have a degree, but I do have training, and I consistently try to find ways to learn better. I'm in contact with, the International Listening Association. I have a mentor there, but when someone approaches me and asks me those questions, I start to have a little bit of doubt, and then I feel like, well, why do I need to prove to you that I need to have this paper to show you that I can listen, right? And so there are moments where I had, oh my gosh, well, maybe I am not worthy enough to do this. Maybe I'm not good enough. But in
Yeah.
my heart is telling me, no, you got to do this because you got to get this message out there, and you don't need a degree. I'm practical. I'm based on my experience, right? And
Hmm.
those are the people I actually want. So if those academics come to me and ask me those questions and they say, well, she's not worthy, I don't want those people. I don't want those kind of clients, right? I want the ones who are
Yeah.
gonna, right? Yeah. So
And
I
yeah,
I I get you.
exactly. And you made
Yeah.
an interesting point there because I mean we've had to do several surgeries for my boys, and when you think, do you go to the hospital and ask the doctor, the surgeon, can I see your papers? How qualified are you to do this surgery, right? Do you ask
Yeah.
that? Do you really
Yeah.
ask that? Do you
Yeah.
get into a taxi and say, I need to see a driver's license, right? Do you
Mhm.
go to, anywhere and say, I need to see your certificate? Do you do that?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not that you can't, but why
Yeah.
do you feel it's necessary to ask that? And are you basing the person's ability to do something to deliver based on qualifications or experience? And I'm not belittling qualifications, they are
Right.
important. However,
Yes.
I think it's even more important to look beyond that. And we're in a day and age where getting even reviews is not enough because there are so many persons who can be do bogus reviews online. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
we have to look beyond that to say,
Mhm.
okay, how is it that what am I going to do to trust this person? It has to be
That's right.
beyond all those things because those can be, fictitious. I had
Yes.
someone connect with me online. We're just brand new, and we connected, and I started working for them and stuff. And when you think about it, they never asked an idea. It was
Hmm.
so you have to really caution with that. And like you said, it goes back to knowing your value, right? It
Yes.
goes
Yeah.
back to being confident in
Yeah.
yourself. That is so important.
And then going back to also connecting, right? Once you connect and develop that relationship, I think that trust will be gained, and will be greater, right? There's
Yeah.
there's a quote I was just thinking about as you were talking, a quote that I've seen where it says it's a greater compliment to be trusted than to be loved.
Yes. Yeah. Trust is
So
so
true.
important. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing too, trust. Sometimes trust might not be overnight. Sometimes I mean, most times you're going to have a surgery or something.
Mm.
You just, you don't have a long time to meet the surgeon to hang
Yeah.
out. You just know you get into the hospital.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. What do
Yeah.
you do? But you trust the institution, you trust in them to say this can happen. So it's finding that integration of the two, trust, relationship as well, and just knowing that it's not, sometimes you really don't have that long time, but like you said, your gut feeling sometimes to let you know this person is worth taking the risk on. Because when you think about
Yes.
it, there are persons you can trust and know for a long time and they still disappoint you too, right? They might still scam you. So it's
Hmm.
diving into being wiser and wiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never know.
And it's age and experience, I think.
Yes,
So your business is called the Cash Lab, right?
yes. Mhm.
But you were talking about other community work that you do. Tell me more about that.
So I sit on a few boards. On a hospital foundation board. I'm also with the Edmonton Mennonite Society. They help
Oh, okay.
newcomers to Canada, and those cause I do also futurepreneur mentorship. I do try to remember all the things I do.
Wow.
Well, it's so important. The causes that I connect with they are very important to me. Why? Because I can think of when I was there before and why it's important. So as a newcomer to Canada, I remember having family support. I also remember organizations that supported me as a newcomer. And I often think back to those persons who come to Canada, a brand new place. There's so much, there's so much culture shock. The weather, the way of life of people, how they talk, the customs.
Overwhelming. Yeah.
It really can be overwhelming. So I'm just so privileged to be able to support those persons who are new. When you think about it, it can be really, really tough. Some persons, to be honest, they give up and return to their countries. That does
Right.
happen. So
Yes. Yeah.
those are some of the causes that are very dear to me, impacting communities, impacting lives.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so great. Oh, it's so nice to meet you. I really am grateful to have met you. So before we
Thank
end
you.
our session here, I really want to know what really matters to Kersha. What's the most important thing?
There are lots of important things to me.
Oh,
There are a lot of important things to me. One of the important things to me is integrity. And I think even though it might be hard to do the right thing, it's always best to do the right thing. Sometimes you're at a crossroads, it's tough,
yeah.
and you have to make the right choice. So integrity matters to me. Being kind. I find that even as adults, we experience so much bullying, and I've experienced bullying in the corporate world since
Me
I've
too.
been on this
Yeah.
journey as well. And
Yeah.
just be kind, we
Yeah.
don't know all the story. I see you, I might say, oh, she's having a good day. She's having, we're doing
Yeah.
this conversation. After what, I don't know what happened before or what's going to happen to you after. So when you always have the choice with being kind, choose to be kind. Not
Oh,
yet. Choose to be kind, even when it's hard, even when it might not be appreciated, even if when you're choosing to stand alone by being kind. It's important to be kind. And I
oh,
think it goes across all levels. Be kind to children, be kind to adults, be kind to all races, be kind to your team, be
yeah.
kind to everyone, those who are ahead of you, not as far as you are. So being kind
Yes.
is very, very important. And yeah, so integrity and being kind is important. And the last thing that's important to me is teamwork.
Yeah.
Realize there's this African saying, I am because we are. I use it for most of to start off my trainings or my
Yeah. Oh,
presentations. I forgot I forgot the African term. I won't mess it up. So I am because we are. So never miss the importance of those around. When you think about it, we are here. However, we're here using this technology because someone is working on our internet, some company, someone is ensuring that we have power in our house, somebody
yeah.
ensure that they could have made our clothes, our food. So
Oh,
we were never designed to operate alone, and we need to remember that. So always jump at the opportunity for a team to help someone else, to take help too. Sometimes that's tough.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
So
know. Yeah.
I am because we are a community.
My God, that was so beautiful. You just gave me goosebumps from talking. Oh, thank you, Kersha, for spending the time with me. This has been a great session. Thank you for this conversation. And yeah, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much for having me. And, I really do find it a privilege to be here on your platform. And
Oh,
I realize that the work you're doing is not something to be taken for granted because we're so busy sometimes you don't really get to
yeah.
listen. I see it with my little ones, you don't listen enough to, so I think it's very, very it's a needed work. It is.
Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.